The question is, how many of these do you own? Wood rulers, plastic rulers, metal rulers, rulers with cork on the back, rulers with nothing on the back, rulers that don't start at the edge of the ruler. All the rulers, and still the things aren't straight. If you're a paper crafter, you know the frustration that I just talked about. You've experienced it, I'm sure. I'm excited to be with you here today to share with you the new Straight and Steady Corner tool. And let me tell you, it's a game changer. If you're a crafter, a paper crafter, a mini album person, a scrapbooker, a card crafter, this tool will be a tool that you will use often. I'm going to turn the camera down and tell you all about it. Crafters, we're here to talk about the Straight and Steady Corner tool. My name is Julie Creek. I did not mention that earlier. I am the designer from Creek Bank Creations. I'm also the owner with my husband, Tom, and we're here to talk about Straight and Steady. So this is actually a 6-piece tool set that comes in this package. It's stepped down in size 1/8, 3/16, 1/4 inch, 5/16, 3/8, and 1/2 inch. These are steel rule. They are not dies, and they are debossed with the measurements on them. So this is what it's going to look like when it arrives in the package. I did want to show you that we do offer the medium craft storage envelope. There are 4 of these in a package, and you open this up. Now, these are a nice plastic weight. They're actually designed for our stamp and die sets, but the corner tool fits in there perfectly for storage. So I'm excited to be here with you today to talk about the Straight and Steady Corner tool. So we're going to get started with cards and how I like to use this with cards. And this is a really handy tool when you're using any of the stacked dies. So a lot of the stacked dies are stepped out in 1/4 inch increments where they get bigger 1 by 1/4 of an inch. And that makes your 1/8 inch corner tool super handy. So I already have my elements here die cut from the stitched Annabelle rectangle. And what we do to use the tool is you'll want to set the side of the tool right along the inside fold of your card and right along the bottom edge. So I'm straight across the bottom, I'm straight on the fold. I already have my adhesive on my background, and I'm going to slide that down into the corner. And I know when I do that, I'll have perfect alignment every time. So everything's lined up perfectly. Now, these dies are stepped out so that when I come back in with that 1/8 of an inch piece, I can come back in, slide that down into the corner, and as I build up my layers, I have them perfectly placed every single time. I'm going to come back in and put my next piece on, and I'm using the 1/8 inch piece here for in between the layers. But if I wanted a bigger space, I could pop up to the 1/4 inch or the 1/2 inch and have my layers spaced out differently. It just gives you the ability to nest those pieces exactly where they belong and keep everything super straight. For our next card, we have an A2 card and we're using it horizontally. We're going to make a horizontal card, and I am using the sunsetting panel die. So you'll see how the tool is really effective for the panel dies. This particular panel die is specifically designed to have that break in it so that you have a focal point. And there is also a second layer that you could put on top. I'm not going to use that in this card, but I am going to show you how easy it is to use. I am going to start with the 1/8 inch corner tool, and I'm going to set that down in a corner. This panel die has been sized 5.25 by 4 for an A2 card, and many of your A2 card panel dies are sized that way, so you'll be able to use it on many panel dies. So I'm going to remove the tape liner, flip it over. I have my corner tool straight and steady down in that corner. I'm going to set that in along that edge, and I will have perfect alignment. Now I need to come back in and I need to add that corner piece. So I will flip that over to the other corner, remove the tape, and then I will be able to come back in and set that right into my corner, right where I want it, and I will have my panel set up perfectly aligned along the edge. It's just a great way to use the tool. I have one more tip to share with you for card crafting, and I have cut this card with that same sun sanding panel card die, only we're using it vertically. I've added the candles die to it, and what I need to do is come in and add "It's Your Birthday Week." So if I'm concerned about getting that straight, I'm going to use my tool, push it against the edge. I know that my card is flush over here against the bottom. I am going to remove the tape liner, and I can set that right along that edge and know that I have it straight right across the panel where I want it. So great, another great way to use it with the stamp board. Now, we have another way. Another really great way to use the tool when you're stamping is to place the tool inside your stamp board. And you will notice the tool adheres really well to that stamper's window surface. So if you don't have the stamper's window, I highly recommend it. You can put your paper in your stamp board and not have to have a magnet to hold it because it's going to adhere to the stamper's window. And as you can see, the straight and steady corner tool lines up with it really well. So what I'm going to do is place my stamps. Now I've closed the grid window, and I use the grid to align my stamps because I can get right over the top of it and see where I'm going with it. I'm going to add the envelope floral stamp set right to the middle of my card, and I have the Happy Mother's Day sentiment from the Happy Mother sentiment stamp. I'm going to set that on there, and what I want to do is put this very small sentiment at the bottom of this piece that says, "Your love changes things." So the benefit of having that in the stamp board is that it pushes the paper up off the corner, so I'm not conflicting with the board when I stamp. It's pulling it off that corner a little bit, but the straight and steady corner tool will not get in the way when we go to ink it up and stamp. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to open up my grid system here. Now this grid is just taped to the side of the Misty stamp board, and I do recommend that you laminate it before you place it on your board. That helps it to be sturdy. So we are going to ink that up, and we are going to be able to stamp right on the edge of that stitched Annabelle rectangle and get our sentiment on our card front right on the edge. And you can see I have stamped on there, "Your love changes things." Let's ink it up a little bit more. That sounded like a country song, didn't it? "Your love changes things." There we go. Nothing like a mother's love. There you go. So that's another good way to use the straight and steady corner tool. So let's talk scrapbooking. I have my white piece here, which represents my photo, and I have my background paper, and I want to show you about cutting mats. So if I want a 1/4 of an inch mat, I can use my 1/4 inch tool, and we will remove the tape and set that right in the corner, just like we did earlier. So we're going to put it along the edge of the bottom and the side, get it square, lay it in there. That gives me my 1/4 of an inch. Now what we're going to do is flip the tool over and draw our cut line right there and our cut line at the bottom. Now, I know many of you have been scrapbooking and crafting, paper crafting for a long time. And so you can cut a photo mat pretty much on your own, and you don't need the assistance of this tool for this step. But I do want to show you how you can step out and make a focal point of your photo and draw extra attention to it. So what we're going to do after we have our 1/4 inch mat, we're going to come back in and we're going to use the 1/2 inch tool, and you can decide how you want to do this. Like if you want a bigger mat, smaller mat, however you want to do it. We're going to put adhesive on the back. Then we will set the tool just like we did before, set that right in the corner, and that will give me the step out of a 1/2 inch mat. So I'm going to come up, flip it over, mark the side again, just like I did before, and cut. And that can give you a focal point. So that's a great way to use the tool. We have that nice stepped out mat. That's awesome. But I do want to share with you this little technique, flip it around, that I love to do. If I have a grouping of photos that I know I'm going to put up in a certain way, I can map them all up on one piece of paper instead of matting them individually. I can do it on one piece of paper. So to do that, we're going to start with our paper, and we have our photos, and we will add adhesive to the back. So I have my photos ready to go. And what I'm going to do is take my corner tool, and I'm going to find the 1/4 inch tool. Let's get this up here so you can see it better. I'm going to set this down in the corner. And again, I'm straight along the side. I'm straight along the bottom. And I am going to place my first photo on my paper and adhere it down. Now I'm going to take my tool. I'm going to move it up. And I'm going to place the second photo on my page. Again, these white papers represent your photos. Let's do this. I'm going to put this one up here and this one down here. So I'm going to take my tool. I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to set this down in the corner, align it. Got it where I need it. Now I'm going to come up here. I'm going to do the same thing and set that in. And now I've created that grouping with my photos. So I'm going to take my tool, flip it up here, give myself a pencil mark right here, flip the tool over here, give myself a pencil mark right there. I'm going to put this in my paper trimmer and trim. And I will have created the perfect mat with all of my photos, 2 cuts, 1 piece of paper, all ready to lay on my scrapbook layout. That's a great thing. So we're still working with the scrapbook page and alignment for scrapbook projects, and I have cut these pieces so I can demonstrate this to you. I'm not sure that I would ever make a triple layer green layout, but you'll get the point here, I hope. We've got a photo. I've already got adhesive on those pieces. These represent our photos. I've cut these pieces with the Covington edge die, and I want to layer those up. So I took a piece of 3-inch wide paper, cut that with the Covington edge die, and then I took a 2.5 wide piece of paper, cut it with the same edge die. And what I want to do is adhere that edge die at the 3-inch mark of my paper. So if I'm using my grid sheet, I can lay my ruler right along that edge of the cardstock, and I know if my paper's square that that's going to be a straight edge for me. So I am going to remove the tape liner from my paper, make sure my straight and steady tool doesn't move on me, and I am just going to push that border up against that edge, and that's going to give me a straight line all the way across. Now, when I come in with that second piece that I want to layer on top, I can lay that right on top of that edge, and I can add things to my scrapbook page without actually having to get the ruler out and mark. I usually scrapbook with a 12 by 12 mat. With the grid system, I have 2 of those. So you can use the paper mat that we sell, or you can actually purchase from somewhere online the 12 by 12 grid. The one I have is from EK Success and has been around forever. So I don't even know if they still make it, but I like it. I recommend it. Okay, here we go. Now, what we have is we've got our border down here where we want it. And this is one of the things that I love about the tool. If I want perfect spacing and I want that photo to sit a half an inch from the edge, I can lay that right on that edge. And when I put my photo in, I'm going to have perfect alignment all the way up. When I come across, if I decide, really what I want is 1/4 of an inch, I can come in, lay my tool up against that side of the paper, and then I can press that in. And now I have everything lined up. And you can see I can work my way across, adding more photos as I go across my page. So you can see the straight and steady tools have many purposes and they are super handy to have in your stash. You can find these tools with the link that I'll provide below. Thank you so much for joining me to talk about the straight and steady tool.